Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? As Scott said, we're talking about the reboot.
Reboot. Is that the French coming in?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
boat.
yeah. That's
It's the
the French
Canadian. It's
version.
the boat.
Our Quebecois one. We're doing the 2021 reboot of Mortal Kombat. So Scott, take it away.
All right. So first,
It's a reboot, not a boot out in a boot or whatever I tried to say there.
I'm gonna just make one fucking comment. Spoiler.
Only one? You're gonna only make one comment?
No.
Wow.
I'm gonna make one comment first to start with this. Namely your quote, the "get over here."
Okay.
Before we get into this,
are you gonna say some fucking nerd shit? I feel like nerd shit is coming right now.
It's not nerd shit. I just need you to explain something to me.
Okay, go.
So you spend 200 years in hell.
Okay.
You speak Japanese the whole movie, but you spent 200 years to just fucking say "get over here," and then the rest of the time you just speak fucking Japanese.
That's a fuck you. You watched this movie in a way more in-depth way than I did. The fact that you picked that up as I mean, I'm gonna give you a slow clap there. That's pretty impressive because I did not pick anything like that up. But that's good point. Good point, Scott. You don't hear that very often on this show, so put that in put that in your skyrocket.
Wait, did you not listen to our Oscar thing? It was constantly like, "You're right. You're right."
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
But in terms of this, so obviously, in my adolescence, I enjoyed Mortal Kombat, playing it on the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being 14 years old and my two cousins being in line for when that first movie came out.
Was that 94, 95?
Well, 14 would have been 96, 95, yeah.
95, yeah. You're talking the original Mortal Kombat movie, right?
Yeah, the original. Being in line, so hyped, thinking like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. Thinking first, it's going to be like the game, super violent. And then, ending up having to watch the Babysitters Club movie because one of my cousins weren't 13 and, good kids that we were, good Christian kids, we didn't lie and ended up watching the fucking Babysitters Club. So, this movie and the series has a warm part in my heart. A lot of fond memories.
Well, that's all for us today. And tune in next week to hear Scott ramble on about another bullshit part of his childhood.
What the fuck?
Wow, I didn't get to see. Okay, but
wait, yeah, I went.
Okay, now that you've said the fucking drawn out version of your life story here, did you eventually see the movie? Can you put into some context and then maybe talk about the movie that we watched this week that came out in 2021? Can we do that? Can we do that a little bit? Just a tip, like.
Fuck you.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I just want to listen to the theme song by the Immortals. Do you remember going to the club and just listening to that just out of the blue, fucking this Hangberry?
No. I remember the soundtrack. I remember that song being on the soundtrack. You're talking about like the Mortal Kombat one that they
like the whole techno.
Spoiler alert, they remix it. Surprise, surprise for this movie. Anyway, okay, obviously you're not going to give us anything useful about your experience with the original movie.
No, the original, it's on my, I don't know if you would call it like guilty pleasure, but I rewatch it every couple of years.
So fucking bad, man.
It's first one. The first one is not. The second one, like, just forget it ever happened.
Well, let's be honest. This particular film, the 2021 reboot, got stuck in development hell for like 15 fucking years because of that second movie. Basically, it just like sat on a shelf and nobody could really get it made. I mean, that's the short version, unless you got a deeper dive on that for us, Scott.
Well, yeah, like this is the origins of this, like the writer Oren Uzil. If you have YouTube, search up Mortal Kombat Legacy. It was a web series that literally brought the series like to rated R and gore, and it's amazing. And it was directed by, I'm gonna fuck up his last name, but his first name's Kevin, and then Tantaron, I believe, or Tacharani is the last name, and he was gonna direct this, and then same thing.
Well, he was actually he was attached to it for a period of time. Then
yeah.
it got stuck in development hell, and then I think he went back to doing the web series, and then just hooked up with other projects or whatever.
Yeah, and then James Wan came along, or they came to James Wan, whatever, and he got it fucking made. And good on him, man. Like, I think 50 million budget. And as of this recording, I have that it's already made 67 million.
Yeah, and I got that for box office. I couldn't get any video on demand numbers, but I mean, this thing was like #1 for Amazon and HBO Max when it first came out. I mean, for HBO Max, 38 million households watched it at least the first 5 minutes of it in the first 3 days, and it's the most that for any HBO Max title. Up here in Canada, I had to watch it on Amazon for like $25 fucking dollars, which I'm super fucking angry about. And I'll get to why I'm angry about that in a little bit. Yeah, but before we move off the producer James Wan, I mean, he did this project with his Atomic Monsters production. This guy's got a solid fucking resume. Bunch of the Saws, writer, director, or story, Insidious, Conjuring, Annabelle, not Antebellum, Annabelle, also his work, and Aquaman, and a bunch of other stuff. Like, this guy's a fucking heavy hitter in the like production, the writing, and the directorial, like for these types of films. Like, he's done some big stuff. I think he's one of the few people that's had 2 films hit the $1 billion mark.
Other than the Russo brothers? No, I'm just joking. But they have the last two
Yes, they have.
Avenger
Yes, they have.
movie. Yeah, like James Wan is one that I actually like. Not that I'm starting to follow him, but he's on my radar. Like,
as a director, as a writer, as a producer, all three, the triple threat, like
the triple threat. Him and the other writer of Saw, Lee Winghall, who I fucked up his last name too. Hopefully he doesn't listen. But he did The Invisible Man.
The one with
Bloomhouse, yeah, with Elizabeth Moss.
With Elizabeth
and
Moss.
He has one film. I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix. Well, in Canada it's on Netflix, but it's Upgrade.
Okay, no, I haven't seen that.
It's fucked up. It's really good. They're actually developing it into a series and a sequel, I think, through Netflix as well. But yeah, it's pretty much a guy with a computer chip. Just think of Venom. The computer chip kind of talks, but the guy just fucks everybody up. And it's like a revenge piece. It's really fucking good. I definitely recommend it.
So you recommend that then?
Yeah. And I'll recommend this movie because it was a good time. I watched it twice, man. I watched this fucking movie twice.
I had trouble getting through it once. Okay.
Oh my god! Flawless victory, flawless fucking. Oh my god.
Okay, so I feel like I know where your opinion lies on this next topic that I'm going to just say. So my quote this week is from James Bernardelli from Real Views. Mortal Kombat is slickly made but hollow, offering little to anyone who isn't deeply invested in the franchise. It may be a good tie into the video game series, but it's a bad motion picture. I 100% concur. So first off, you sound like from the beginning of the show that you played the video game, you were big on the video game.
1 and 2.
You fucking wanked out about the movie. So was some of this enjoyment tied to your experience with the video game? Because honestly, I didn't play the fucking game. I had some general ideas going into it. So I was essentially watching this as like,
you asked me a fucking question, and now now I'm getting your long-winded fucking life story with this thing. I played the first 2, 1 and 2. I never played anything else, and I haven't played the game in fucking 30 years.
Okay.
Right? But in terms of just enjoyment, like fucking Josh Lawson as Kano fucking just made that movie more enjoyable.
He was actually the only character I enjoyed. Like the way, like he was funny and he was kind of interesting. He seemed to do the best he could with this garbage script. Like, I get it. Like, you're making a video game movie, you can try and create like this big drama and stuff like that. But I almost wish they just would have done like Bloodsport. more. So like the video game, just Bloodsport, they go to the tournament. Maybe we see some background origin stories of each character. They fight, blah, 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 blah. Fucking movie ends. Like, I feel like I could write this fucking screenplay like this afternoon instead of the long-winded nonsense that they fucking ended up bringing to the table, which is really weird because so the screenplay was written essentially by David Callahan, who did Doom. He did the story for The Expendables, Zombieland, Double Tap, which was fucking shit. So I guess that's par for the course. Have you seen Wonder Woman 1984 yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, and did you like it? Did you like the script, the dialogue and stuff?
It was okay. I did enjoy the first one more. Like I think they like in terms of that film, I think they kind of built Kristen Wiig and she did awesome, but then once you get to the end, like it just seemed rush, right?
Okay.
And
Mostly where I was trying to go with this is like maybe this guy isn't such a fucking great screenplay writer, but I mean, considering your subject matter, maybe don't try and turn it into a drama. It just felt like there's a lot of action, but the action isn't even that great compared to other stuff, including stuff in the Marvel universe. And I'm not even a big fan of those types of things.
Well, in terms of the action, I'll say that this isn't the original cut of the film.
Oh, okay.
They like the cut of the film, like they had to hire an additional editor to cut down because there is so much gore and brutal fights that it got an NC-17 rating.
Yeah, and they wanted an R rating.
Yeah, they wanted it R, and they literally had to cut down a lot to get that. That's why I thought the flawless victory was fucking amazing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there's a bunch of stuff in there, like just starting right from the ground, the trying to turn it into any type of story and family bullshit and stuff like that. Just make it a fucking movie about people who are gonna go into like another universe and fucking fight each other. Just do that. Don't try and give it.
Though you've seen it with the first one. You've seen it with the games, right?
But that's what this fucking move. That's what this is about. It's about this fucking video game where you fight each other. So and again, so if you're gonna try and build a fucking story, bring in a better writer then, and then you got to hire better actors and shit too. Like
no, I think the actors did well in this.
They did fine. They did fine. Like I said, there's not a lot to work with there in the first place. So I thought the script was trash, absolute trash. And speaking of editing, I mean, I actually was expecting them to have some hack fucking editors on here because I didn't feel like the editing was super great either. It wasn't super tight. I think they could have done a better job. But man, they've got a solid editing team. So they got Dan LeBentel, who worked on Iron Man 1 and 2, Ant-Man, Bad Boys for Life. So he's used to working in the action genre. And Scott Gray, who's got a fucking Emmy nod for his work on Top of the Lake series, which is an Australian series that I'm looking to check out. It's sort of like a crime series. It's also got Elizabeth Moss in it. And actually, with Scott Gray, here's my Canadian content. He was the editor on Isn't It Ironic? Don't you think? On Alanis Morissette's video. I thought that was such a fucking interesting little fucking tidbit. Gotta talk, man. It's radio.
Well, not anymore. We're on YouTube, so it's video too. People can see my disappointment in your face. My disappointment in your face.
I'm the one who's fucking should be disappointed having to watch this train wreck of a fucking dumpster fire of a movie. I'll tell you right now. This is go ahead before I fucking run a train on you.
Oh, okay. Is it a train I'm gonna like? But
come on, ride that train, boop boop, and ride it.
But I think what you're missing out is no film, especially a film like this that's a franchise, is a one and done. This is technically set up as.
But sure. But I mean, it still needs to be able to fucking stand on its own as a film. Like right now, I would cut 30 minutes out of this fucking film right away. Bang! I would chop it right down to the bones. Pull out as much of that family story as possible. Maybe use some flashbacks if I was just doing it in the editing room and fucking make it just 90 minutes of fucking like kung fu fucking hustle, man. This thing, like, actually, I would have to cut, it would be it would be just under an hour and a half because it's only an hour and 15 minutes and it felt fucking forever, man. I was like, God.
Sorry, hour and how long?
This is an hour and 50 minutes long.
50.
5-0, yeah.
Okay, sorry. I thought you said 1-5. I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna cut under? I'm like, it's a TV show. It's a pilot.
It's a short film. My literal notes to me on the length of this film at 110 minutes or an hour and 50 minutes, still too fucking long. Seems to lag out during the center. Just make the thing a tight hour and a half. Those are literally the notes I wrote myself to make sure I emphasize the fact that this film is full of a big section of junk.
I don't think it's junk. I think it's
I think you're
filler for.
wrong.
I think it's filler for number 2, right? So you know where it's coming from, right?
Then
And
make
that's the
better
thing.
filler. That's like the pie can be filled with like chocolate or apples, or it can be filled with dog shit. And they chose to fill it with dog shit.
No, I think they filled it
Fatality, Kris. Get over here.
with. See, that thing I thought was hilarious when like the fighters would say it, right? Like it's like, ooh, flawless victory. And that to me was the best scene of that fucking movie.
I think the part I liked was the fight. Actually, not even the whole final battle, which I don't want to talk to you too much. There was definitely some interesting stuff there. There's some decent choreography and cinematography going on. But even then, it kind of felt boring after a while. Like it wasn't dynamic enough. And I don't know why. They had like good martial artists on the payroll. And even on the top, like I said, they had a decent editing team. Their DOP, Jermaine Minking, also has an Emmy nod for True Detective. 2 films that he's done that I actually am going to check out, I put them on my watch list, are Partisan and The Berlin Syndrome, which are both look fucking mad sick. So anybody who's listening, check out Partisan or The Berlin Syndrome or both. Same DOP, Jermaine McMiking, something like that. I don't know. I fuck up names all the time. Anyway, check those out. I'm going to check them out. I'll give you guys a heads up, maybe on Twitter or something about what I thought of them. But they had a decent DOP. They had a decent editor. So the 2 things that I think have an issue here, and you feel free to push back on this. I've already talked about the script. Script's fucking garbage. You don't agree with me. What do you think of the directing?
I think this is his first film, if I'm not mistaken.
It is his first film. He did one short film that was a minute long. He comes out of the TV commercial world.
Yeah, I think he did a good job, right? Like I think some of his choices were really well done, and some of the like to me, I like the pacing of the film, right? Like it didn't feel long to me, but fuck.
Well, you watched it twice, so obviously not.
No, like I watched it. I was gonna watch it again today before we recorded it. Like it was that well done, but and I'm more interested on where it's gonna go as well. But I will say one thing, because you did say you liked Kano. Do you know that you wanted to talk about cursed films, and the character of Kano may be cursed as well?
Why is that?
Well, in the original Kano, the guy who played him in the 1995 film, died in 2003.
Is that just because he got old?
No, drug overdose, possible suicide.
Oh, wow.
And Mortal Kombat Legacy, the actor who played Kano, was actually expected to reprise his role of Kano for this film, but then he died before this film became in production from a heart attack. So I hope nothing happens.
Now we got to keep an eye on Josh Lawson and make sure he doesn't die of a heart attack or drugs, or both.
They got to bring him back for the sequel for sure.
He was good. Like I said, I thought and again, some of that are the lines he's given. He got to be truly funny, not kind of like tongue-in-cheek funny. He got to be a bit boisterous and stuff like that. So I mean, he got to have a little bit of range in his character that way. But I mean, I want to get back to the director for a sec. So Simon McQuaid, he, like I said, he came out of the commercial world. Check out his commercials for PlayStation and Duracell. The best thing to do is just Google Simon McQuaid or the director of Mortal Kombat and check out his reel and stuff. His commercials are amazing. And it was actually his commercials that got him kind of in the eyes of the producer, James Wan. But why the fuck would you take a guy who's never made a feature film and then bring him to your big live action reboot of a franchise? I don't think he has the fucking chops. to do it at this point, to be honest. And he actually turned the film down originally. So his response was about his doing his first feature. The first movie out, I think it shouldn't be a video game. I've done video game commercials and I get it, but let's try to get something other than that. And his agent's like, hey, why don't you look again? So I'm guessing they just dumped a big pot of money on top of him. But I mean, he said he read the script and he felt he could do something with it, but I don't feel he did do anything with it. Or maybe, like I said, clearly I'm wrong. You seem to like it.
Well, I think this is, I don't want to say Joker, but it's the same thing. Or you're 50 million for a live action movie with known commodities.
Sorry, known commodities. Like who?
Mortal Kombat. Just the name itself is a known commodity.
Yeah. But I mean, 50 million, it didn't get spent on the fucking actors. Like there
exactly.
There isn't anybody big deal in here.
It's one of these things, like in terms of the whole HBO Max simulcast thing, like this movie was never not gonna lose money, right? If it's already in the 2 weeks it's been out in theaters, it's already made back its money.
That's right.
38 million, you said, already watched it on HBO Max.
Yep, 3.8. Sorry, 3.8.
Okay, so 3.8. So what? I don't know how much an HBO Max membership is, but
well, and like I said, I paid $25 to watch it, so it'd be interesting to. I couldn't find the Amazon numbers, but I mean, just take like how many people watch it on Amazon, and then multiply that by $25. Like that's a pretty piece of penny. I don't know how much Amazon keeps of that and how much goes back to the production company, but I mean, they're definitely making money on video on demand for sure. But sorry, how does that? I'm still trying to get you. You still need to explain what that has to do with hiring a guy who's done nothing but work on commercials to direct your film. Are you saying because it doesn't matter and you get him for the cheap?
Exactly.
Oh, fair enough. Maybe
you
they still spent $50 million though, man. That's like a mid-budget film.
50 million? That's like a fucking independent film now. That's like nothing.
No, we've talked about this. So low budget is like 7 million and under, right? And so I would say that like mid budget is from 7 million to 50, 60 million. So they didn't have a huge budget for this. I mean, you're right. They probably paid their director a lot less than they're going to play fucking Christopher Nolan or something like that. I mean, you're more into these kind of movies. Like, would you want a Schneider or something like that on this film?
No.
So do you think the director did fine? He's fine.
I think he did a good job. It was serviceable. It was entertaining to me. It was everything that technically you wanted it to be, right? Like,
would you change anything if you could do whatever you want, change sound design, anything? What would you change anything?
My only criticism so far of this film is I would agree with you in terms of the family stuff, because you knew it was coming. Like the whole point of that family was for him to get his Mortal Kombat power, right?
Yes.
Right, you knew they were going to be in peril, and that's where like that would be the only thing that really I would change.
I mean, I guess I'd like to see the NC-17 rating, like that one. I'd like to see that cut and see if it makes it better. But I don't think so, because just more blood and guts is not going to make this film fucking entertaining or worth watching for me again. Like I said, I had trouble getting. I watched like an hour and 20 minutes of it, and then finished it the next day. Like I was so unimpressed and uninvolved. Yeah, absolutely,
No
man.
way. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way you would.
I even set myself up because I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this film. I was like, oh, wicked. It's not even 2 hours. This should be like rock and roll, fucking full nitro, boom, 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 boom. And it was fucking sluggish. I mean, like you said, I think some people like it. Is there a specific demographic that you would recommend this to, or everybody, or what?
No, this is gonna be literally like,
this is fanboy shit, right?
Yeah, it was yeah, it was not, how do you say it? It was catered to the hardcore fans of this movie,
100%.
right? Like, so it's going to be the dads that played it, and then now they're going to try to introduce it to their kids and try to, play Mortal Kombat on their PlayStations, right? Together.
Seriously, is that what happens in these types of situations? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. That's what I did, but
I'm like, yes, let's give us a little little insight into the world of parenting through Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, like the characters, like I said, I stopped at playing at number 2 game, so there's a bunch of these characters that I have no idea who the fuck they were. Like even the main character, well, I read later that he's not even in the games. He was just made for this movie.
Oh, nice.
And then yeah, but the guy who plays Scorpion's the oldest actor to ever play him at 58 years old, so he's getting recast in the sequel.
As long as he also doesn't die, old age and stuff.
No, fuck you.
I mean, normally we talk about the actors and stuff, but like, there's no one really big in this film. I mean, we got Lewis Tan played Cole Young, Jessica McNamee played Sonya Blade. A bunch of them are Australian actors. I mean, they shot for 3 months in Australia, so I guess that helps. I mean, the director's Australian, a bunch of other people are Australian on this project, but like none of these people really have like big solid resumes. I mean, McCad Brooks, who played Jax, he was Supergirl, Necessary Roughness, True Blood, and Desperate Housewives. But yeah, no real heavy hitters. I mean, I think my favorite person is the DOP, and I'm excited to go check out Partisan or the Berlin Syndrome. I'm going to do that actually as soon as we're done recording tonight.
Oh yeah. Well, I would say the guy who played Scorpion is well known, just because you don't know him. Like this is the first time. It was very,
he's big in Japan. He's a big Japanese actor.
Isn't that like a song, Big in Japan?
It is. It's by the Lonely Island.
I will say this.
And the guy that plays Sub-Zero is in a TV show on Netflix. That
he was in The Raid.
Yes, he was also in The Raid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I knew him from, was The Raid. But I'll say, like, in terms of the cast, like the thing I liked about this movie, there was no fucking white savior. It wasn't a white guy who learned kung fu that was gonna win the Mortal Kombat. Everybody,
and they did a good job with that, with the hiring of like Asian actors to play the Asian characters, and like it definitely shows. There was some write-up in like Variety or something like that about when they did the original Mortal Kombat, they had issues with the casting of an Asian actor in a lead. Like they really had to like pull some levers to make that happen. And for this, it wasn't even a question. They just did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough that I can't wait in 3 years from now when, Mortal Kombat 2, and then you will see your tournament, because that's where it's going for the second one.
So before I get out of here though, so Joe Taslim, he plays Sub-Zero. Check out the show Warrior if you haven't seen it. It's on Netflix. There's like 2 seasons. It basically takes place around like the late 1800s as the Chinese immigrants are coming into the United States. It's kind of like a Bruce Lee style story. I mean, older than Bruce Lee, a lot of Wing Chun and stuff like that. It's awesome. It's like great. That actually, go watch that instead of Mortal Kombat 2. Go watch Warrior on fucking Netflix, because the fight choreography is way better. The scripting is way better. So unless you got anything else for me, Scott, I'm gonna leave on that fucking note right there.
Warrior, I believe, is on Crave, not Netflix.
Oh, okay, sorry, you're right.
It was actually. Do you know who developed that series originally?
No, I did not. Is
Bruce
it? Oh, really?
That's what he kind of. It was developed by him, and I believe his daughter is one of the producers of that show. That kind of to bring it to life.
See, so Scott's agreeing with me. Don't watch the new Mortal Kombat. Go watch Warrior.
What? I never said that. I've never watched. I never watched Warrior yet, but it's on my list. But no, fuck you. I never said don't watch this. I think you should watch this. Like, fuck. Like, get a life, Kris. Come on. Not everything can be Mac or Chris Nolan. Sometimes, just popcorn is popcorn, and it's just fucking good.
And watch Partisan and the Berlin Syndrome. That's all for me. Take us away, Scott.